Hi guys, my name's Joe, I'm running for VPAU in sport. Ever since I've come to Keele, I've been massively involved with sport here. I play rugby for the University Anna Road, for the university. I've been part of the committee for both of those teams, so I know how to deal with problems as they arrive and how to deal with long-term development. Last year I was elected to the role of Deputy President of the Athletic Union, so I've already got a lot of experience working within the AU and developed good working relationships with the people who keep sport at Keele ticking over. I've got a lot of great ideas of how we can improve sport. Most notably is securing more funding. As it stands, we've got a massive hole in our budget trying to fund getting teams to this training to events. I'm looking to expand the play sport programme to allow more people to get involved. So I'm looking to include inter-hall, inter-faculty and inter-society sporting events, and I'm just going to go out and try to well represent sport as best I can.
Thank you. Your topic question is, how do you intend to reach students who don't traditionally engage in sport?
As AU Deputy President, I've already started getting the ball rolling with that, so to speak. We've started having meetings regarding expanding the play sport programme. So going out, getting in touch with resident tutors, with societies, with faculty reps, to try and get as many students playing sport from faculties and other areas of the university as we possibly can. I think it's just a case of getting the publicity out there, letting people know that the opportunities to play sport are there. So I think more than anything, it's awareness.
Thank you. We'll now have a few questions from EF.
Okay, the AU can be considered unaccountable by some. How would you seek to change this perception?
Well, the AU, as I'm sure most of you are aware, has recently come under the umbrella of the Students' Union. The merging of Athletic Union President and VP Sport this year, as demonstrated by Rachel, has worked exceptionally well. And to that end, the AU is already becoming a lot more accountable. There's a lot more transparency this year than there has been in previous years. Committees are being kept in check a little bit more, and through regular meetings with club captains and committee members, we're making sure that teams are staying on the straight and narrow, so to speak.
Okay, this year's AU and Sport has been heard saying that the university's funding for the AU has left it drowning. How do you plan on convincing the university to give the money the AU needs?
At the moment, we're putting a funding paper through, which is looking to ideally underwrite the transport costs, as transport accounts for the vast majority of our budget. If we can go out and prove to the university that sport is a massive factor of student experience, and that a university with a good sporting reputation encourages a higher calibre of student, then I think the university will be more than happy to send some more money towards sport.
Thank you.
Okay, and this one's from Student Media. If you're able to free up and raise funds, how do you plan to prioritise spending on AU clubs?
Spending will be focused, well, we've discussed in our funding paper that it will go primarily towards coaching, as coaches can bring the best out of students, and a good coach makes a difference between a good team and a great team. So coaching would be one. There are lots of teams which are short of equipment, and the AU has done a fantastic job with the resources that it's got, but were we to have more, we could absolutely provide more teams with what they need and what they want.
Okay, one final question. How will you strengthen the relationship between the AU and the SU?
I think spending time in the Students' Union, working as a sabbatical officer, will make that happen in its own right. I mean, Rachel's done a phenomenal job this year bringing both the bodies closer together. At the end of the day, the VPAU in sport is still a VP. There's still a sabbatical officer, so if I'm elected, I'll be expected to perform the roles of any other SAB in the same way as VP Welfare or Education or Finance. So I think to that extent, the role of VPAU in sport is in itself bringing the AU and the SU closer together.
Thank you. And would student media like to ask a question?
I don't think there's any more questions from the floor. There was one from student
Oh,
media.
okay. All right, then. That's it then.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, can we have the candidates for finance activities, please? First up, Danny Walker, please. When you're ready.
Hi Keil, thanks very much everyone for coming along tonight, and thanks everyone listening on YouTube as well. I'm Danny Walker, and I'm standing to be your Vice President of Finance and Activities. I'm passionate, I'm credible, and I've got the experience to deliver for you. I arrived at Keil in 2010 as a fresh-faced 18-year-old fresher. I'm not any of those things anymore. I've got more grey hairs than I dare even count, and that's from me working alongside you, fighting to make this place better. I've got plenty of ideas to make this place, our SU and our university better. I want to help develop our amazing clubs and societies, and I want to develop us as an SU. I want to engage with our community and with you as students. I want to hold an activities conference to get you all ready for the start of the new year, getting you working together. I want to recognise all of your hard work with a Hall of Fame. We really don't recognise what you guys do enough. I want to expand society stripes to reward you. I want to help you to work together to put on loads of really epic events. I want to get you home safely from the library with a safety bus. I want to push for a free shopping bus to get you into town to do whatever it is that you need to do. I want to get you more discounts at some great off-campus shops, and this will get them more trade and it will leave you all with more money in your pocket. Lots more things to say, but vote Danny Walker, number 1 VP Finance Activity.
You've got Danny Walker next, please. Sorry, Chris.
Hi guys, my name's Woody and I want to represent you as the Vice President of Finance and Activities. In my time at Keil, I've experienced in both leading and participating in committee environments. I've also experienced with working in campus bars and right here at the Union in the entertainment department. This has allowed me to see how the Union, clubs and societies all work, and I wanted to help the guys achieve the experience the best experience they possibly can at Keil. To help achieve this, I want to get better training for key committee members to help improve their effectiveness within the societies, as I know how difficult it is to run clubs and societies. To further enhance the training, I intend to always be available to discuss any issues that may arise, then work hard to fix the problem at hand. I want to set up regular meetings with each and every society so that both parties know how well everyone is progressing. By helping to train committees properly, I would like to push on with here, to get more people recognised for their effort and the time they've put into running successful societies. Giving more people the opportunity to increase their employability. I would look to try and bring in external employment fairs and see, as I see Keil as a largely untapped resource of quality students. In order to help increase funds for events, I would want to get societies to work together in order to pool resources and allow them to run activities that would not be available in senior societies due to funding issues. Getting feedback from many students is vital.
Time's up. Sorry. Can we have Chris Jackson next, please?
Hi, I'm Chris Jackson. Today I stepped down as president of CRAP. I have been on that committee for 2 years. I've dedicated 2 years of my student life to it. I've seen the society grow from, well, quite a large society to an even larger society. I think the largest society on campus, excluding the SLLCs. I feel as though communication between societies is not what it should be. I am currently part of organising the Total War event that's happening March 10th, 2 weeks. Anyway. Sorry, I'm not very good at public speaking, but I am good at running societies. I feel as though I've run into most problems that societies will run into at any point, unless there are any extreme, strange circumstances. If they do run into a problem that I haven't dealt with before, I will work tirelessly to find a solution to that problem. I'm sorry. But thank you anyway.
Hi, Keil. My name is Matt Maddock. I'm running for VP Finance and Activities. I've been Society Representative this year, helping out this year's VP Finance and Activities with lots of issues that have been coming through the SU. I see a lot of faces here today, and hopefully there are a lot of people listening. But I've been knocking on doors, and not many students feel they're very engaged with the union. And I feel one of the key ways to get more engaged with more students is meetings like this, meetings like UGMs, don't need to be held in rooms anymore. Networking online, getting discussions beginning online is a really good way. We have societies that get hits of hundreds daily. We have KDADs, we have Philsoc, and they are getting big discussions every single day on their Facebook pages. But when it comes to a UGM, we don't hit quoracy. This doesn't have to be the case. If we loosen up the ways that students can communicate with the union, we can get so many more students involved, and we can hear their ideas over such a longer period of time. I'm also running on a sustainability platform. The union building is one of the least efficient buildings on campus. And I feel that with some minor changes, such as double glazing on the upstairs, maybe using the roof for a solar panel, we can save the university a lot of money. A lot of money they might be willing to reinvest in the union and in other things. So please vote for me, please ask me questions. Thank you.
Now we're going to randomise who answers first when it comes to questions afterwards as well. So your topic question is, we have a finance department and an activities department. How is this role still relevant? So we'll have Matt first, please.
Well, I've been really interested in this idea this year because I know that the current SPAC team, well, some members of the current SPAC team were thinking of getting rid of the role for this election. I think that there should be an open review of the role. I think that as soon as one of us gets elected, we should be out there talking to students, asking them what they want. Now, I feel that the finance and activity role is the in-house role. They deal with the union and they deal with our students in the union. And I think the finance department and the activity department do amazing things with the union, especially the activities department that is so new. I would like a big review, a big forum, and then as soon as we come back in the new year, we know what we're doing, and we can start doing our work straight away.
Thank you, Matt. Can we have Chris next, please?
I feel that many people feel that this position is obsolete, which I don't think it is. We work as a bridge between societies and KUSU itself. I mean, it's all well and good walking up to somebody who in finance and asking them about stuff, but they just don't understand where a student is coming from when they're trying to deal with things. It's better to talk to somebody who's been through the problem and attempted to find a solution already and succeeded in running societies for it. I mean, they're paid to do their job, which they do really well, but they don't understand where societies are going from. The best bet, if we wanted to get rid of this position, would be to have a position in the activities or finance that would actually...
I'll stop you there, sorry. Can we have Daniel Woodcock, please, next?
Again, I would agree with the fact that with the role is not merely obsolete, it's a student thing where we need to be spoken for and looked after, and finance are very much, they're focused on making the money, and whereas the students need to be there, well, the VP would be there to look after the students as they are the role. I think it is a bridge of a position where you're going from paid officers such as us and then to students, where we've been students, we've been there, we've been where they are, and just it's the bridge where we need to get to speak to the SU basically.
Thank you. Daniel Woodcock, please.
I think it's a bit of an interesting question. It's a little bit like asking turkeys to vote for Christmas. My thoughts with this are really, really important that we do have someone to act as that bridge. But one of the things we do struggle with in the union is development and engagement. So there's no reason that this role couldn't turn into that. But what I would say is that it's totally up to students. It's whatever students decide, and that's something that we need to look at over the year. But certainly I think the good thing about possibly changing is that we still have time. We've got a part-time rep for societies, and there'll always be someone in the office for this year looking after societies in this role. And it might be a nice way of phasing it out if that's what students decide. But that's got to be the key to all this. But there's no reason that we can't.
Sorry. I've got a request for another round of answers, so we're going to start again with Matt, please.
The reason I want to talk some more is I feel that the idea of keeping finance activity as it is probably not what we need. What we need is an officer who can fulfil the role that we used to have of a democracy in comms. And I don't actually think we need the same role back, but I don't think there is a specific SAB that's dealing with this role. I would sort of sum it up as almost a community officer, someone who's dealing with the campus, the union and the students as a whole, and that societies are a big part of that, but there's also other parts of that a SAB role can fulfill. And I know that...
Sorry. Can we have Chris next, please?
Okay. I agree with Matt on this one. The position doesn't really need to be named as it is, if you know what I mean. There needs to be a position or somebody that societies and the students of the body can go to talk to about how PLSU is being run and the other things on well, not being run, but the activities that are being run on campus. They need somebody that they can go talk to about it and will motivate societies and other people to run these events and to look after them. But
I'll stop you there, sorry. Can we have Daniel Woodcock next, please?
What I would say is pretty much similar to these guys here, so there's not really much point in me carrying on speaking. It's very similar to what they would say.
Thank you. And lastly, Daniel, please.
I think, as I said, this was a question from Concourse as well. As I said in my answer to that, I do think that there are things that we struggle on. Things like community, as Matt said. I know because I've done it. We struggle on things like engagement. I know because I've tried to do it. And development as well. I know because it's something that I've done. So there really is no reason that we can't have this sabbatical office that we all want. And slightly changing it, I really don't see any issue with that at all. But again, it's up to what students decide throughout the year, and we can make it happen.
I'm now going to take questions from the elections forum, please.
Yeah, we'll start with a question from student media. Student staff in most cases are paid basic minimum wage, despite always going above and beyond. What would you do with student staff?
We have Daniel Woodcock answer that first, please.
I would probably go along with more of a reward system with them as well. Probably offer maybe free entry to big nights as well as if they're not working, because they do put a lot of effort into helping this university and the union progress and get it to how everyone wants it to be. So I feel that offering them something above and beyond pay, because that's not always the reason they're working. Sometimes the reason they're working is because they want to improve the union. So rewards would be a good way of doing that. I don't really know what you can reward, that have to be looked into, but I think it's a good system to go for.
Can we have Daniel Woodcock answer that next one, please?
I think that's a really good question as well. One of the things that I wanted to put on my manifesto that I didn't is just getting out there and speaking to student staff. I mentioned speaking to lots of other students, but I'd actually quite like to spend a night as a steward and see what it is that those guys do. It's not something that I've done myself, but I think the only way you can really understand sort of the challenges that they face is being out there with them. Ideally, we'd like some kind of living wage perhaps, but finances are always tough. It's maybe something we can look into, but I certainly think seeing what it is that bar staff get up to on a night out and finding out how difficult it is would be a really good way of us finding out whether or not what we pay them is really enough.
Thank you. Can we have Chris Jackson next, please?
Most of the points that I kind of want to make on this one have already been said. Rewarding them for what they've done is a very, very good idea. Obviously, free nights, some people are into what happens at the union, others not. So I would, for that one, just go around and ask them what exactly sort of rewards they want. But otherwise, they need to be commended, the stewards especially need to be commended for what they do on the night. After witnessing a couple of crap nights that some of the people went a bit too heavy with the drink. They do amazing jobs with what can only be reluctant people that want to leave the union. Other than that, they just need to be thanked and rewarded for what they've done.
Thank you. The last one, Matt, please.
I know quite a few people who work as stewards, work behind the bar, work in this union, and I'm for a living wage. If the minimum wage isn't good enough, you need to be paid more. Now I know we'd have to find money somewhere, and in my view the best place would be energy efficiency. If we can save money with the energy costs in this union and get more money from the university because of that, we can spend it on other things. And one of those things for me would be making sure there's a living wage for staff in the union. Anyone not being paid a living wage, there's no really good incentive to work if you're working for something that can't support you.
If you could make any society an SLS, what would it be and why?
Can we have Chris Jackson first for that, please?
Okay, I am very slightly biased on this one, and when I mean slightly, I mean massively. I am currently sitting on Cura Committee, which is the Roleplay Society. Now, many of you may not know exactly what they do, but many, I want to say social outcasts, rejects, whatever you want to call them, people who don't really socialise very well with others, often end up in responsibility with Cura. Now, Cura has taken some people who you really wouldn't want to sort of socialise with very well, and turn them into people that you can, and know when that they should be quiet, and know when their joke is funny, and can tell jokes and talk to people. I mean, they do an amazing job for what they actually do, but they also go above and beyond when it comes to forming people into better members of society.
Thank you.
To be honest, I don't really know. That sounds like a great idea, but I wouldn't be able to tell you what deserves to be an SLS and what deserves to be a society. I don't think it's something that needs to be discussed with a wider community and approved by the whole SU as a whole.
Thank you. Can we have Johnny Walker next, please?
As with Chris, slightly biased, but something that we're planning on doing for the end of the year is making RAG into an SLS. It really is a student-led service. It's not going to work unless we have students working together towards some kind of common goal. We've worked massively hard this year, and I can't thank the people that have helped me with RAG enough. This year is going to be the biggest year for RAG ever, and I think that if we ever want to improve it, if we want to make it bigger again next year and the year after, which we really, really should do, then I think that making RAG into an SLS is a really lovely way of making that happen, allowing some kind of development every single year, and making sure that it really is led by students and supported by the union as much as we really can, because it's such a fantastic thing.
I agree that RAG meets the requirements of an SLS, but as someone's already talked about it, I'll talk about another society. I think that KDADS, the Kiel Discussion and Debate Society, provides a brilliant service for students. They've worked with the KPA, they've worked with the university, they've worked with many societies, getting together big events and big talks. And they're getting people together not only to have these discussions, but so that they can talk afterwards. So you're having a society basically organising and helping with events where you can have the Vice-Chancellor and the Pro-Vice-Chancellors talking to students about issues that affect them, getting outside speakers in to talk about issues that affect students. Now, if that isn't part of what SLS does, I don't know what is. So I would say KDADS.
Okay, currently societies have to pay to use the SU minibuses. What do you feel about it?
Can we have Johnny Walker first, please?
That's a very good one. Obviously, the thing that we have to take into account is that it all costs money for us to be able to run that service. But at the same time, to get societies off to certain places, to get sports clubs out to various places across the country. As we heard with Joe earlier, travel costs are so expensive for societies. You know, there are ways of possibly funding this as well. Looking to the outside community for some sort of sponsorship, which is something that we've been doing really well with RAG, hopefully. I think it's a real shame that societies do have to pay for the minibuses, but it is a service, and you certainly get it a lot cheaper from us than you would if you were looking for an outside company to provide that service for you at the same time.
Well, one of the points that I raised in my manifesto is that many societies have national organisations, will have people in the local area who are interested in funding and helping them out. So I'm part of societies that have national organisations that will give us grants if we need transport to go to certain things. I've been a member of a society who had a patron, so the odd £50, £100 here and there for certain things was much appreciated, and he would come and he would bring people to our events. I think that part of the role of financial activities would be to, if I had a spare 10 minutes, look what grants are available to which societies. Slowly going through the list and going, I can fund this for you, and I can ask you if you think you need it right now. The other thing is, for Key Fund, if groups of societies are working together to go to events, they need to be told that Key Fund money is there and is much more available the more students it affects and the more that they work together.
Thank you. Can we have Dan Woodcock next, please?
I think this is very similar to the AU issue of transport costs, where it's difficult to offset the cost of transport due to the price of petrol and renting minibuses. And like Danny said, it's so much cheaper to go through SU. I don't think it would be viable to make it free for the societies, but to make it more affordable and maybe hopefully try and get them to raise money to give back to, well, get money back into their coffers, so to speak, to cover the costs of this. would help, and external companies that could offer them sponsorship for transport to do various things across the country, which is putting their name out there, is a viable option.
Thank you. And Chris, please.
Many of the points that have been covered already, but I completely understand why they would want us to pay for the petrol, because, well, we're using it after all. But the minibus themselves, if they're not being used for anything such as the safety bus, I feel that societies shouldn't need to pay for it if it's less than, I don't want to say any numbers, but if they're not using it for a very long period of time, like just moving some stuff from one place to another, shouldn't cost the society money. I know I've had to move quite a lot of stuff using the safety buses and the van itself, and it's for an event that is effectively free for us to run. It's a cost that shouldn't need to be there. So ultimately, more grants, more funding for societies to be able to use these transports would be needed. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the final one for all the candidates, and then you've got individual ones. Is it acceptable to spend £71,000 on signs?
Can we have Matt first, please?
This is an interesting one because the university will allocate their money to different departments based on different reasons, and those departments will use their money as they see fit. Now, I don't know what the rationale is for a bunch of signs. I don't know. I noticed this week that it was advertising KPA. I noticed that it was advertising events going on. So hopefully they're having a use. Whether that amount of money is what the university should be spending, I don't know.
Thank you. Can we have Chris next, please?
Honestly, I like to be welcomed into Kiel by 5 different signs on my way in. I like the time being shown to me in many different colours when I'm walking up to Chancellors. I feel that it was a massive overspend from the university, to be honest. They haven't put in any place for even, I don't believe, KUSU to use the signs to advertise things, let alone societies themselves. Although they currently show a few out-of-date events, I believe, on Chancellors, one of them showing an event that happened 2 days ago. They need some way for societies to be able to use these, so they simply look active if not getting people to do things with societies. But most of all, I think they were just an overspend from the university. They weren't needed, I don't think. The other signs, the maps, the directions, brilliant. But the electronic ones, not so much.
Thank you. Can we have Dan Wilson next, please?
I agree with them trying to advertise certain aspects of the university in a way that gets people going, like you will know what's happening when you come into university, but the gross overspend of that money is just ridiculous when it could be ploughed back into, for example, the safety bus for societies. It's something which could be spent elsewhere, and I know it's used by other facilities and things like that, but it is a waste of money, I see, compared to what you could spend on in advertisement in other centres.
Thank you. And Danny Walker, please.
I think 71 grand is an awful lot of money for a few signs. And so no, I don't really agree with the spend. But actually what I think this shows more than anything, I think the biggest saga of this was the fact that nothing was on them for several months because 2 different university departments were arguing with each other over who got to play with the pretty signs. So if the university can't communicate with itself, how on earth do we expect it to communicate with us? There are some really important issues out there. And what I think this highlights more than anything, apart from the gross overspend, is that the university have just got some really, really poor communication. And that's something that we've really got to fight for. It's totally unacceptable for professionals to not be able to talk to one another. So how on earth do we expect them to talk to us?
A question from student media for Danny Walker. You suggest a shopping bus on a Saturday. Would this be free? And if so, can this spending be justified when there are 2 buses that stop behind Morrison's?
Thanks very much for that question. The way I'm going about this is through using all the links that I've built with RAG. It was an idea that I suggested to the Town Centre Partnership a few weeks ago. I think it's a really good way of us getting students into Newcastle, into the town centre, spending money. And the response I got from the Town Centre Partnership was, give us a quote. I think there's a lot of scope there for us to be able to use it and not incur any costs ourselves. But I think the other really good thing about this is especially in the first few weeks. I remember last year international students were given a bus into Newcastle to go and show their shopping and show them the local area. I actually think in the first few weeks this would be really useful. Get students into Newcastle, maybe give them a little tour of all the shops that we have available without incurring any costs. It means that the town centre gets more business and you get more money in your pockets. I think that's a win-win situation.
This is from Concourse for Dan Woodcock. What kind of academic accreditation that you mentioned in your manifesto do you propose that highly involved society members receive? Who determines who is highly involved and how?
I think that comes from the overall management of the CUSU, and they can see, and also the staff can see, how much effort goes into the roles of the committees, and I think the committees don't get enough recognition as it is, and although there is already something that started to be in place, it's not really widely recognised across the whole campus. Not many people know about it. So again, it's probably a communication thing where you can get out there and get people understanding what's happening and just honestly, basically just learning and teaching people the employability and just giving them something to work for.
Thank you.
Okay, this is from student media again for Chris Jackson. You mentioned improving HallsNet. Have you spoken to IT about what can be done?
Okay. As my role on a few events, we have spoken to IT on many occasions. They are willing to, one of the issues with HallsNet is that certain programs or games are blocked through, I'm not going to go into technical details, but they are blocked. And this is because, sorry. They're blocked, and they are very willing to open these, open the programs up to the internet, but they just need to be told what these programs are. And the problem is nobody knows exactly what the people in Hall want open, so they don't know which ports the games use. Anyway, the second one is HallsNet. Now, a couple of days ago, there was one of the servers crashed up in IT that stopped the download limit being applied to most campus. Now, in that time, people were downloading a lot. One of my friends got to minus 10 gigabytes within the hour, which is a bloody good download rate.
Sorry, Chris, got to stop you there.
Okay, this is from Concourse again, but for Matt Maddock. Considering that economic initiatives tend to have a very long payback period, with solar panels averaging a 9-year payback, why is it that you feel they would create funds during your tenure, despite the required investment?
Well, I'm thinking beyond my tenure. I believe that a sustainable programme is good for the union on a long-term basis. And it's not just solar panels, there's some very small changes that we can do, like I mentioned earlier, double glaze in the upstairs. That can save us a lot of money. But the thing is, these are investments that we can make, and there's money out there so we don't have to spend it straight away. So I've been looking at grants that if we've got quotes over £1,000, there's a big pot of money out there that they will give to charities to make their buildings better. The university is pushing their own sustainability project, so they are willing to put money into anything that is sustainable. So I accept that solar panels may not be sort of efficient money making now, but I'm looking for the long term of our union building, and that's why we did the downstairs development, and that's why I believe that we should do sustainable development.
From Student Media for Dan Woodcock. In your manifesto, you say you want to train key committee society members. Which members and what training would be given?
From my experience with club captain at rugby club, I was basically just dropped straight into it, and I had no training, I had nothing to go on. I went on what I thought was right. I think the key roles that you should be looking at is your president, the treasurer, and your secretary to begin with, where they need to know how and to run the whole thing basically. And I don't know if it's viable to do it as a whole committee, but those three key positions would help everybody set from there and then move on, and you'd know what you're doing rather than being dropped straight into a situation that could be very difficult to handle and you wouldn't know what was happening. Whereas if you had a bit of training, you'd understand that you had to go to this person, that person, or you had to do this way, that way, and it'd just be a lot easier and a lot safer for the societies to go about.
Thank you.
From Concourse, or Matt Maddock. Whilst UGMs need to be improved or better attended, do you not feel that replacing them with online discussion removes accessibility and limits access to people without a high level of written English or computer access / skill?
Well, my idea isn't to replace UGMs with them, it's to expand it to them. So, as many staff officers said this year, the UGM is a place to hold your officers to account. And there's already been discussions about changing the format of UGM so that they're more approachable, making more things go to student council instead. The way that I'd like to see it happen is that if we allow more discussion online on forums over a longer period of time, more people have the opportunity to get involved. And this means that a forum where you have a thread that can go on for a month before a motion is submitted can then go to a referendum that is put online. And so we've had referendums this year hit 200, 300 students voting, when in UGMs we only get 60, 80 students turning up. And I think that's a real representation issue. And I understand that not every student will have a computer, not every student will have the written English, but that's not getting rid of UGMs, it's sort of expanding them into that realm.
Thank you.
No more questions from the floor.
Thank you. We now have a 5-minute break now, so actually, we'll be back at 9 and we'll start resuming the VP welfare with the education. So,